Hey everybody. I want to apologize first of all for taking so long to get to another one of these videos. A lot of things have been happening in my life personally that I just don't want to talk about. But I'm going to try to get on a more regular schedule from now on. I thank you for your time, and without further ado, here we go. Hello everyone, it's once again time for Watercolors with me, CM Waters. Let's take a moment to talk about Hollywood for a second and how they're pretty much willing to turn anything into a movie. Let's face facts here. If there was a show that was even remotely popular at any time in history, chances are that some producer will think of a way to make some quick cash on it, whether or not the end product is even resembling of quality. But this does not just lie in TV shows, oh no. This is also evidenced by the works of Dr. Seuss. I mean, we all know about this.
The Grinch.
And this one wasn't that bad.
You're living on a speck.
Seriously, who is this?
Though I'm sure we all want to forget about this.
I'm the Cat in the Hat! Hairball.
There is one thing each of these theatrical films had in common. They each got their start on television as animated specials. The trend of bringing the stories of Dr. Seuss to motion actually began in the golden age of the theatrical shorts by bringing the story Horton Hatches the Eggs to animation. But it was more popularized in 1966 after How the Grinch Stole Christmas was first aired. After that, the floodgates were opened and numerous Dr. Seuss stories came to the forefront, usually airing on CBS back in the day. And today we're going to take a look at one of those specials, one that I have a very good reason for looking over today. But I'll get back to that. For now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to tell you the story of the Lorax. The Lorax is actually a very interesting morality tale, as some of you who have read the story already know. Published in 1971, the story was given enough praise that a mere year after its release, it would find its way on television. Was it good enough to warrant that? Well, let's actually take a look. We begin in a rather depressing area as we see a young boy walking along. Strange, I thought Skynet would have been more thorough when they wiped out all of humanity. Now before you ask, no, this kid doesn't get a name in this story, and for a very good reason. In the original book, this kid was supposed to be a representation of the reader, and in this special, well, he's just there. Anyway, he walks along the path of the griggle grass. Okay, forgive me for this, but I'm going to warn you right now. Anytime I review something with Dr. Seuss, I'm probably going to chuckle a little bit at some of the words that he used. I don't know where he got some of these words, but even if you're older like me, you do get a chuckle out of them. Unless you are completely heartless. Back to the story though. The child is curious about why the street is called the Street of the Lifted Lorax.
What was the Lorax? And why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere from the far end of town where the gricklegrass grows? The old Onceler still lives here.
The Onceler, a hermit living at the edge of town, is apparently the only one that knows the true story, and the boy seeks him out. And here's where I have to tell you about something that changed from the book into the movie. In the original story, as seen here in this, I have a nephew and a niece, 4 and 1 respectively. It's good reading material for them. Anyway, as I was saying, in the original story, the Onceler actually charges the kid, and I quote, 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail to tell the story. And then he tells it through a pipe system. But here in the special, they forego payments and pipes, and in my opinion, it's for the better, as I'll explain later. But for now, it's time to get to the meat and potatoes of this special, the flashback sequence. This forest here is the location for the story, despite what will happen, and we begin with seeing the unique ecology here.
Under the trees, happy dappy barbalets under the trees.
Oh yeah, that's something I forgot to mention, isn't it? Yes, this special had quite a number of songs in it, mostly in my eyes to pad the thing out to reach the 22 minutes necessary to make it into a half-hour block of television with commercials. I even skipped over a song at the start of the whole thing.
Grickle grass, street of the lifted Lorax.
I'm going to give you fair warning now. We will be running the gamut from happy to really depressing throughout this special. Please have your tissues ready. Now, despite this whole rehearsal by the animals for their spring pageant, the Onceler is only concerned about the trees that he sees before him.
The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk.
The Onceler is apparently a genius at business, but he doesn't know anything about biology. Newsflash, Mr. Onceler, butterflies are not mammals! Seeing potential with these trees, the Onceler quickly sets up a shop for himself and chops down the nearest tree to get to work. Unfortunately for him, this draws some attention. See what happens when you don't get the proper building codes and permits? You get little imps living in trees attacking you. So this is a lesson for anybody that's starting out their business. If you don't want imps, get the proper documentation. This little ball of fuzz here is our title character, the Lorax.
I speak for the trees.
Yeah, get used to him saying that line. He says it throughout this special. And no, neither this special or the original book explain how the Lorax actually got into the tree, but that's just a minor point. The Lorax quickly confronts the Onceler about his actions, and we see why the Onceler wanted to take the tufts of these trees.
This thing is most useful. This thing is a need. It's a shirt. It's a sock. It's a glove. It's a hat. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers for bicycle seats.
For only $99.99.
Okay, that explains why he wants the tufts of the trees. But what about the rest of the tree? Is it really that hard of an idea to actually just, pluck the trees instead of having to chop the whole thing down to get the things? Am I the only one that thinks this? Mr. Onceler, you could actually save a lot of money by, not chopping them down. Just thinking that. But of course we can't go that way, otherwise the book and the special wouldn't go on the way they did, now would they? And after proving the success of needs to the Lorax and shutting him up for a little bit, the Onceler brings around the rest of his family to... Hey, wait a minute. How the heck did the Onceler start up a phone network with only what he had in the cart? I really doubt that trunks of truffula trees are actually good for telecommunication of all things. As I was saying, he brings the rest of the Onceler family there to music. Judging by this song, I think the Onceler just wanted to have some cheap redneck labor.
It takes 10 months for a truffula seed to germinate. It takes 10 long years before the seed grows into a sapling. It takes 10 more years.
Yeah, go back to the Discovery Channel, science boy. Business for the Onceler booms so much that he apparently becomes unto a god amongst the others. He's able to bring forth a machine to chop down 4 trees at a time, as well as commission a 4-lane highway to be built to speed up his business. So remember, people, if you want to find a way to change the world, find a way to make needs or something very similar. That way you can have anybody in the city at your every beck and call. And because this is an environmental message disguised as a story, we start to see the effects of the damage this business causes. Animals almost getting run over, skies getting too polluted for the birds, and apparently after the Onceler went out of business, he sold all these machines to a mad scientist fighting a hedgehog. I mean, seriously, how does he make a profit building these things? Despite all that's happening, the Lorax is determined to get his message across.
I speak for the trees. Let them grow. Let them grow.
But enough about all that. Since the Onceler is apparently the lord of the land, he has commanded for his 1 millionth need that there be a 4-minute sequence of songs of various length.
It's always fair weather when good Oncelers get together. Up the old assembly line comes another need. Today we're here to celebrate, perpetuate, and demonstrate our love for the good old Onceler. Oh, place your hand upon your heart and recollect his humble start. For he's a jolly good Onceler, aren't we all?
Stop it! It's Nature Boy.
Wait, Nature Boy? Nah, that's just silly. That's just silly.
I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. That was the Lorax. He spoke for the trees.
Mr. Wadsler, you forgot your maniacal laugh. Okay, we'll get into it next time then.
Take a letter, Miss O'Schmunzler.
Here we go with another song. Someone sound the get back on track alarm already. Thank you, Lorax. I was beginning to think this special was needing more filler than actual story. With the Lorax back, we start to get back on track with the original book, as he points out the first of the major problems. The Barbaloots are running out of food and are being forced to leave.
Hiking off to somewhere in our Barbaloot suits.
The Barbaloots would spend the next 40 years marching through the desert until the great Cat in the Hat called upon their leader and gave him 10 rules to follow throughout their life. After the Lorax depart, the Onceler goes through an existential dilemma.
Onceler? Why are you a Onceler? The things that you do are completely ungood. But if I didn't do them, then someone else would. That's a very good point, Mr. Onceler.
After seeing this, the Onceler's secretary quickly called upon the local asylum, and the Onceler was taken away and his business was sold to its shareholders. Later, the Onceler is, I don't know, getting a smog tan. That's the best I can think of why he's sitting on the top of the roof. And he seems pretty relaxed when... And then the Lorax tells of the next problem. The Swami Swans unable to sing because of all the pollution.
No one can sing who has smog in his throat.
Yes, nobody can sing with smog in their throats, except for these following singers that actually were smokers. There was Elvis, there was the Beatles, there was Katy Perry, there's Britney Spears, there's Lady Gaga, there's Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, and these are just naming a few. You really don't know anything about the outside world, do you, Lorax?
What do you want? I should shut down my factory? Fire 100,000 workers?
No, I'm saying I want a cut of the profits, you moron! If you're going to destroy my home, at least give me some compensation for it! The Onceler tries to get away from the Lorax, but Mr. Nature here won't have any of it. Also complaining about gluppity glup and sloppity slop. And no, neither the book nor this special mentions what this stuff is for, if anything.
Drop, 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 drop,
Say what you want about the environmental problems. At least these pipes know how to carry a tune. Alright, I forgot. This is all about the environmental message, isn't it? Well, this goop ends up gunking up the lake, and the humming fish are forced to march off.
Oh, their future is dreary. I hear things are just as bad up in Lake Erie.
Just fish out of water on hard, dry land. People ain't fish, so they can't understand.
They later meet up with a nice man named the Gordon's Fisherman. They were never seen again. Thanks to all the things the Lorax has shown him, the Onceler finally realizes the error of his ways, and he...
Mr. Onceler, Mr. Onceler!
Huh? Oh, yes, Miss Funzler.
Stock market's just closed, and Thnees Incorporated stock is up. Up 27 5/8 points.
Wow. Wow. Howdy do.
Miss Funzler, you bitch, you! You have just doomed the entire forest, or whatever is left of it. I hope you're proud of yourself, lady. Yeah, avarice prevails once again, and the Onceler tells off the Lorax.
I'm figuring on biggering, and biggering, and biggering, and biggering, turning more truculent trees into Thneeds, which everyone needs!
Oh, and you forgot to give the Onceler his decaf, Miss Funzler. I hope you enjoy eternal damnation wherever you end up. But karma proves itself to be a cruel mistress, as after the Onceler snaps, the last truffula tree is cut down, forcing production to stop and the Onceler's family to depart. Well, Onceler, I see your point now. You can have this land. And finally, after over 20 minutes, we finally get an answer to who lifted the Lorax. And it's the Lorax himself that did it. See, Mr. Onceler, you missed out on a great business opportunity, even more profitable than Thneed sales. You and the Lorax, had you made friends with him, could have gone on the road, been a traveling show, and you could have shown the world the Lorax's physics-defying powers. No, instead you went for commercial business. How's that working for you now, Onceler? Sadly, the Lorax lifts himself away through a hole in the smog, leaving behind only a circle of rocks with a stone that says "unless" on it. And we finally get back to the present as the kid questions what the word means.
Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not.
That's why I've commissioned the Earth Spirit Gaia to make 5 special rings for 5 special young people. I'm sure they can be able to help fix this whole problem here. Thankfully, it's nothing that lame. Instead, the Onceler had somehow saved the last of the truffula seeds and gives it to the boy.
Plant a new truffula. Treat it with care. Give it clean water. Feed it fresh air. Grow a forest. Protect it from axes that act. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back.
Mr. Onceler, with all that you did to the area, where am I going to find clean water and fresh air? Mr. Onceler? Mr. Onceler? Okay, I'll just be going now. And with that message of possible hope, we end the story of the Lorax. It's a nice little tale telling you that you should be careful with what you have, otherwise you're going to lose everything. I will argue, though, that in the original book, Dr. Seuss kind of made the Onceler a little too pure evil. Though in this special, he does have moments that shows his good side, making his turn to good at the end by giving the boy the seed, all the more special. But now we get into why I decided to review this right now. By the time you watch this video, this will have come out in theaters. As I said in the start, Hollywood seems to like finding whatever they can to turn into a movie. But really, when you have a half hour with commercials TV special and you need to stretch that out for filler, you really have hope for a 90-minute movie about the same story? Really? However, let it never be said that I am not fair on this show. I will go see this movie in theaters, and I will give it a fair and just review when it comes out on DVD. Because, like the Lorax speaks for the trees, I speak for the average person who likes to watch animation. However, that's in the future. For now, I must be going. I have to go protest my local Thneed salesman.
Wind! Water!
Hot! Go Planet! By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet!
Captain Planet, he's our hero. Gonna take pollution down to 0. He's our powers magnified, and he's fighting on the planet side. Captain Planet, he's our hero. Gonna take pollution down to 0. Gonna help him put asunder bad guys who like to loot and plunder.
You'll pay for this, Captain Planet.
We're the Planeteers. You can be one too. No, saving our planet is the thing to do. Looting and polluting is not the way. Hear what Captain Planet has to say.
The power is yours!